Pass on file. Moving on to file item 84, AB 1262. Senator Hueso, Mr. Secretary, please read. File item 84.
Assembly Bill 1262 by Assemblymember Wood, enacting to telecommunications and declaring the urge thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Hueso.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, the California Advanced Services Fund was created in 2007 to promote deployment of high-quality communication like broadband to the entire state. When the fund was first created, the legislature recognized the need to provide specific funding to consortia. With that, $10 million was deposited into the Rural and Urban Regional Broadband Consortia Grant account. Unfortunately, this account is about to be exhausted. If more funds are not available, many rural and urban consortia around the state will no longer be able to provide the services to advocate basic broadband. In the state of California, the state of innovation, this is absolutely unacceptable. AB 1262 allows $5 million from the Broadband Infrastructure Revolving Loan Account to be used in the Urban Regional Broadband Consortia Grant Account. This will provide 2 additional years of funding to continue working with telecommunication providers and key community stakeholders to promote CSF for many years to come. I respectfully ask for your aye vote for this important measure.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion or debate on AB 1262? Seeing none, is there any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 38, noes 0 on the urgency. Ayes 38, noes 0. The measure passes. Returning to file item 83, Assembly Bill 924. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 924 by Assemblymember Cooley, enacting to taxation.
Senator Bell.
Good morning, Madam President and members. I rise to present this bill, AB 924. It's related to the State Children's Trust Fund, and it reinstates the Children's Trust Fund as a donation option for a person to make a contribution when they have their tax forms. It allows them to have that check off for the Children's Trust Fund. It goes to child abuse, and this reinstates that. I urge an aye vote on this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Cannella. Aye. De Leon. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Hueso. Aye. Hill. Aye. Huff. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Bates. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Gaines. Huff. Runner.
Ayes 36, noes 1. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 86, AB 402. Senator Hertzberg. File item 85, Assembly Bill 402. Pass on file. File item 87, Assembly Bill 599. Senator Hill. Pass on file. File item 89, Assembly Bill 1504. Senator Cannella. Not at his desk. File item 93, Assembly Bill 234. Senator Wolk. Pass on file. File item 94, Assembly Bill 272. Senator Hertzberg is ready. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 272 by Assemblymember Lackey, an act relating to employment.
Senator Hertzberg.
Thank you, Madam President. In the recent court case, Estrada versus the City of Los Angeles, a Court of Appeals case held in 2013, the court ruled that a reserve peace officer are volunteers and not employees. As a consequence of that ruling, the court excluded from protection under the peace officers, reserve peace officers, from protection under the Fair Employment and Housing Act. This bill by Assembly member and former CHP officer Lackey appropriately corrects this wrongly decided case. This bill, AB 272, protects reserve officers from discrimination and harassment in the workplace. I respectfully ask for your support of this measure.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion or debate on this measure? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Cannella. I. DeLeon. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. Galgiani. I. Glazer. I. Hall. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Wesso. I. Huff. Jackson. I. Lada. I. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nilsson. I. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wykowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Allen. Gaines. Hall. I. Huff. I. Morlock. I. Runner.
Ayes 37, no 0. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 95, Assembly Bill 274. Pass on file. File item 99, Assembly Bill 614. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 614 by Assemblymember Brown, an act relating to health facilities.
Senator Hancock.
Thank you very much, Madam President and members. AB 614 will streamline the process used to update healthcare standards of practice in the 30 different categories of health facilities regulated by the State Department of Public Health. The problem is that there's a backlog of regulations that need to be updated. Some are 30 years old, so that the standards that we're asking our Department of Public Health to enforce are different from the professional standards advocated for by modern hospital facilities and professional associations. So this bill will streamline the process. It requires a 45-day notification period, a 30-day public comment period, and a hearing if requested by a member of the public. The bill has received bipartisan support in both houses. It is sponsored by the California Department of Public Health and has no opposition. I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on the measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. Cannella. I. DeLeon. Fuller.
My script.
I. Gaines. Galgiani. I. Glazer. I. Hall. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Wesso. I. Huff. I. Jackson. I. Lada. I. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell. I. Monning. I. Morlock. I. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nilsson. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Allen. I. Block. I. De Leon. I. Gaines. Hall. Nelson. I. Runner.
Ayes 37, no 0. The measure passes. File item 102, AB 656. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 656 by Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, an act relating to local government.
Senator Hertzberg.
Thank you, Madam President. As many of the esteemed members of the Governance and Finance Committee may recall, this measure, AB 656, passed with bipartisan support. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. The bill allows mutual water companies to make joint powers authorities to create insurance risk pools, which we have in many other areas of government. The pooled insurance helps hundreds of mutual water companies serving 1.3 million connections in California by doing the following: providing more affordable insurance, technical assistance to reduce liability, and lower premiums, including in disadvantaged communities. 656 puts mutuals in line with hospitals and other entities, as I suggest, who pool these resources. It has no state costs. Ask for your support of this measure.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or debate on this measure? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. I. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Cannella. I. De Leon. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. Galgioni. I. Glazer. I. Hall. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Wesso. I. Huff. I. Jackson. I. Latta. I. Leno. I. Leva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. I. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nielsen. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Gaines. Hall. I. Nielsen. Runner.
Ayes 37, no 0. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 103, Assembly Bill 716. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 716 by Assemblymember Lowe, an act relating to the California State University.
Senator Block.
Thank you, Madam President. AB 716 defines the term supplant as it applies to special sections within the California State University system. Basically, what it does, it says that you cannot add sections of a course that students have to pay for if you are reducing the number of sections that are part of normal tuition. So students don't have to pay extra for extended studies courses. These courses required for graduation need to be available to students on the regular class schedule. With this change, the bill has enjoyed unanimous support in both houses and has no opposition. I request your aye vote.
Any discussion or debate on this measure? Seeing none, is there any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 104, Assembly Bill 746. Senator Hancock. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 746 by Assemblymember Ting, an act relating to the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority.
Senator Hancock.
Thank you, Madam President and members. AB 746 recognizes the San Francisco Bay as one of our state's greatest assets and also the enormous harm done over the last century by landfill and toxic pollution. In 2008, the legislature created the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority to determine how to raise local revenues to restore over 36,000 acres of publicly owned bay shoreline. The authority has the power to levy assessments, fees, taxes consistent with the requirements of Proposition 218, and to apply for grants, fundraising, and to issue bonds on a two-thirds vote of the people. This bill issues some clarifying language and extends the Bay Restoration Authority sunset to January 1st, 2049, which would give enough time to actually pay back a bond. The bill is supported by business groups from Silicon Valley Leadership Project to the Bay Area Council and by environmental groups from the Audubon Society on and by the California League of Cities. I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion or debate on this measure? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? No. Block? Aye. Cannella? De Leon? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? Galgiani? Glazer? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Wesso? Aye. Huff? No. Jackson? Aye. Lada? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leyva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell?
Aye.
Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? No. Morrell? No. Wynn? No. Nielsen? No. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Runner? Stone? No. Vidak? No. Wykowski? Aye. Wolk? Wolk, aye.
Call absent members.
Cannella? Gaines? Galgiani? Aye. Roth? Aye. Runner?
Ayes 26, noes 11. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 109, Assembly Bill 559. Senator Jackson? Pass on file. Moving on to file item 111, Assembly Bill 969. Senator Jackson? Pass on file. File item 114, Assembly Bill 273. Pass on file. File item 115, Assembly Bill 1081. Senator Hancock? Pass on file. File item 118, Assembly Bill 960. Senator Wolk? Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 960 by Assembly Member 2, an act relating to parentage.
Senator Wolk.
Thank you, Madam President. AB 960 updates the California assisted reproduction statutes to ensure that all families are protected equally by the law. This current law does not recognize unmarried couples using assisted reproduction with a donor as parents, despite many unmarried couples conceiving children that way. Current law also requires that a doctor or sperm bank be involved to prevent a donor from being considered the legal father. This leads to the parental rights of unmarried couples being unclear and to sperm donors being at the risk of paying child support and the unclear or contested parentage at times. This provides, AB 960 will provide equal protection for these families. 960 has received bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or debate on the measure? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? Bates? Bell? Aye. Berryhill? Block? Aye. Cannella? De Leon? Fuller? Gaines? Galgiani? Aye. Glazer? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Wesso? Aye. Huff? Jackson? Aye. Lada? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leyva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell?
Aye.
Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? Morrell? Wynn? I. Nilsson. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. Runner. Stone. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Cannella, aye.
Call the absent members.
Anderson. No. Bates. Berryhill. De Leon. I. Fuller. Gaines. Huff. Morlock. Morrell. No. Nielsen. Roth. I. Runner. Stone.
Ayes 29, noes 2. The measure passes. Colleagues, the next 4 items we'll be taking up, just to give you a little heads up, if you will be file item 123, 125, 126, and 127. So again, file item 123, AB 215. Senator Leyva, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 215 by Assemblymember Alejo, an act relating to employment.
Senator Leyva.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Welcome back from summer recess. It is quite nice to see all of you. Today, I am happy to present AB 215, which will reduce cost to our struggling school districts when a superintendent is terminated from employment. I don't know about all of you, but those folks that I have represented for many years, if they were terminated, never received 18 months of a severance package. Believe it or not, under current code, a superintendent may receive a severance package of up to 18 times their monthly salary and 6 times for those who have engaged in fraud, misappropriation of funds, or other illegal fiscal practices. These timelines are just too long and have historically led to big cash buyouts, wasting precious education dollars. Recognizing this, AB 215 will reduce these timelines down to a more reasonable figure, 12 times their monthly salary, and 0 compensation for superintendents who have committed fraud or some illegal fiscal act. No one should be rewarded for breaking the law. In the past decade, school districts throughout the state have paid severance packages ranging from $200,000 to $500,000. These high payouts to superintendents clearly should end and should not be placed on the backs of our students. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Cannella. I. De Leon. I. Fuller. Gaines. Galgiani. Glazer. I. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Wesso. I. Huff. Jackson. I. Lada. I. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. I. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nielsen. I. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Allen. Fuller. Gaines. Galgiani. I. Huff. Runner.
Ayes 35, no 0. The measure passes. File item 125, AB 275. Senator Jackson. Pass on file. File item 126, AB 1100. Senator Lara. Mr. Secretary, please read.